Once upon a time, in a magical forest far, far away, there lived a beautiful unicorn named Starshine. Starshine had a flowing silvery mane and tail, and her coat was as white as fresh snow. She loved frolicking through the enchanted forest and using her healing magic to help all the woodland creatures. One sunny morning, Starshine was drinking from a babbling brook when she heard cries for help in the distance. She raced towards the sound and discovered a tiny rabbit, caught in a metal trap. The poor bunny was whimpering in pain and fear. Without hesitation, Starshine used her magic horn to gently free the rabbit from the trap. "Thank you for rescuing me," said the rabbit gratefully before he hopped away. Starshine was happy she could help, but she wondered who would set such a trap in the peaceful forest. As the days went by, Starshine noticed more and more traps hidden around the enchanted forest. She freed many more animals who got caught: squirrels, deer, and even a bear. She healed their wounds with her magic afterward. Starshine was very troubled and decided she must find who was responsible for leaving so many cruel traps. One day, Starshine heard very loud and frightening noises: crash, boom. She ran toward the sound and was shocked to discover a team of burly men cutting down trees in the forest with loud saws and axes. Nearby, she saw a truck filled with the forest's trees that had been chopped down and poached. "Stop!" Starshine yelled, but the men could not understand her. She wanted to make them leave but did not want to hurt them. The unicorn kept yelling until finally the men got scared off by the strange, loud animal. They drove away, leaving the rest of the forest still standing, for now. Starshine knew these greedy men would probably return to continue destroying the forest. She had to find a longer-term solution to protect her home and friends. Starshine came up with an idea. That night, when the full moon shone high in the sky, illuminating the forest with its light, Starshine stepped into the moonlight and began to transform. Her slender horn spiraled longer, gleaming like a spear. Her soft white coat changed into scales that shimmered like emeralds. Wings sprouted from her back, unfolding to an impressive wingspan. Soon, the unicorn had fully transformed into a powerful dragon. The next day, the men returned with their trucks and tools to continue chopping down the forest. But when they arrived, they were met by an intimidating roar: "R-O-O-O-A-R-R-R-R." The burly men screamed and froze as the giant emerald dragon leapt out from the trees and loomed over them. Smoke poured from the dragon's flared nostrils as she growled, showing her razor-sharp teeth. The men turned and fled, dropping their tools in terror. Starshine the dragon had successfully scared them away for good. With the threat gone, Starshine was ready to return to her peaceful unicorn form. But suddenly, oh, just as Starshine tried to change back, a mystical vortex opened in the sky. It pulled Starshine the dragon up into swirling mystical clouds before she could transform. "Help!" Starshine cried, flapping her wings hard, but the vortex was too strong. In an instant, the magical vortex had transported the dragon Starshine to a completely different mystical realm. Starshine found herself in a strange new land. Everything glowed in unearthly hues here. Floating islands dotted the skies, and mythical creatures roamed mystical landscapes below. But the dragon Starshine just wanted to return home to her forest and animal friends. She tried shapeshifting back to her true unicorn form. However, something about this magical realm prevented her from changing. She was trapped as a dragon. So the dragon Starshine set off to try finding a way back to her own world. She flew from one floating island to the next, encountering fantastic creatures along the way. Some were frightened by the large dragon and hid or ran away. But others, like the crystal pixies and glowing phoenixes, were happy to meet Starshine. They could tell she had a kind heart, despite her fierce appearance and flames. The dragon asked every creature she met if they knew how to travel between worlds, but none did. She began feeling hopeless. Would she be trapped in this mystical realm forever, unable to return home and help protect the forest she loved? But Starshine refused to give up. She kept searching, day after day. Until finally, she met an old, wise mage with glowing robes and a starry wizard's hat. The mage said he knew the spell to open a gateway between worlds, but he required an artifact called the Celestial Key to do so. Luckily, Starshine's new phoenix friend Flamewing knew where the key was kept, inside a fiery volcano. The phoenix led the way until they arrived at the volcano's bubbling crater. Dangerous lava bubbled far below. But with Flamewing's protection, Starshine was able to swoop down into the smoking crater and grab the glowing celestial key from a molten rock before shooting back out. Now Starshine could finally go home. The wizard mage used the celestial key to open up a portal back to the enchanted forest. Starshine and Flamewing zoomed through the gateway together. At last, Starshine the dragon was back in her beloved forest. But she gasped, something was terribly wrong. The whole forest was burned and blackened. Starshine soon discovered what had happened. Without her there to stop them, the greedy men had returned. And this time, they had come with fire to burn down the entire forest so they could take all the land. Starshine was heartbroken by the destruction. She should have been there to save her home. Rage boiled up in the dragon at the men who had burned down the forest for their own selfish gain. The furious dragon flew up and breathed out punishing flames over the men's trucks and tools, turning them all to melted slag and ashes. The men fled in terror once again from the vengeful emerald dragon. Starshine continued unleashing her fiery fury. She burned down every last thing the men had built on her forest's land. By the time she finished, nothing remained except scorched earth. With the men gone and nothing left but ashes, Starshine finally began to calm down. She realized destruction would not heal the damage that had been done. Her forest was still lost, but the land remained, new seeds could be planted, and the forest could slowly grow again in time. She would be there to nurture it with her magic and care just like before. Hope was not gone. As the dragon reflected on this, she at last transformed back into her true form, the unicorn, Starshine. The scorched land did not seem so bleak as the unicorn made a vow to nature. She would guard and guide the new forest that would someday bloom here once more. She let joy fill her heart as she imagined that future. And the animals and other protectors of the forest heard her hopeful vow. They knew they would create the enchanted forest anew.